Night had fallen over the small, quiet planet. The sky stretched endlessly above, filled with countless stars that shimmered like tiny diamonds. The air was cool, and the villages slept under the gentle glow of lanterns. Everything seemed calm, peaceful, but the silence was about to break. A sudden streak of bright light tore through the sky, faster than anything anyone had ever seen. It came from deep space, burning like fire, and crashed into the forest near the settlement with a deafening roar. Trees bent and splintered under the force, and a cloud of dust and smoke rose into the air. The ground trembled beneath the impact. Villagers ran toward the crash site, shouting in confusion and fear. Torches flickered in their hands as they pushed through broken branches and debris. Every step they took was accompanied by a strange vibration in the ground, like the heartbeat of some hidden creature. When they reached the clearing, they saw something that froze them in their tracks. A small child lay on the scorched earth, curled in a protective ball. The child's skin seemed to glow faintly, like a candle's flame in the dark. Hair floated slightly as if in water, and a faint hum of energy radiated from the child, shaking the ground beneath their feet. No one knew where the child had come from. Some whispered that it had fallen from the sky, carried by the stars themselves. Others feared it was a spirit or a demon. But before anyone could react, the child's eyes flashed open. They were not normal eyes. They shimmered with strange colors, like the lights of a distant nebula. Among the villagers stood an old scientist named Draven. He had studied the stars for decades, traveled to distant planets, and seen things no ordinary human could imagine. Yet when he saw the child, he felt something deep in his bones, a mixture of awe and fear. He stepped closer, careful, speaking softly. You are not ordinary," Draven said, more to himself than to anyone else. His hands shook slightly as he reached toward the child, sensing a strange energy that pulsed in the air. The child's small chest rose and fell, emitting a faint glow with every breath. The scientist could feel the power, ancient, wild, and dangerous. High above the planet, unseen by the villagers, a cluster of alien ships hovered in orbit. Sleek, black, and silent, they observed everything below. Their commanders whispered in a language none of the humans could understand. "The child has returned," one said. "Yes, the one from the old prophecies," another replied. Their voices carried weight, a cold and calculated curiosity. They did not plan to intervene yet, but they watched carefully, waiting for the right moment. To them, the child was a key, a force that could change the balance of power across the galaxy. Back in the clearing, the villagers were uneasy. Animals in the nearby woods cried out, running in all directions. The child stirred slightly, and the hum of energy grew louder. The ground trembled once more, and small rocks leapt into the air as if pulled by an invisible hand. Some villagers fell to their knees, too scared to move. Draven realized something urgent. The child's energy was growing. If it continued, it could hurt everyone nearby, or worse. He whispered to the villagers to step back, but curiosity kept some of them close. They wanted to see the child, to understand the miracle before them. Suddenly, the child's eyes snapped open fully, brighter than before. A scream erupted, not in any human language but strange, harsh, and powerful. The sound echoed across the forest and through the hills, shaking the villagers to their core. Birds flew screaming into the night, and the wind seemed to bend around the clearing. At that moment, far in the distance, a massive explosion lit the horizon. A fireball rose, bigger than anything the villagers had ever seen, followed by a shockwave that rattled their bones. No one could tell what had caused it, but all felt the same terror. Something big, something dangerous had started. Draven knelt beside the child, trying to calm it, speaking softly in words the child might understand. But the child did not calm. Instead, the glow around it pulsed faster, and small bursts of energy jumped into the air. The sky seemed to bend slightly, and for a brief moment, the stars themselves flickered. The villagers froze. Some prayed, some cried, some ran. But Draven stayed. He knew that whatever this child was, it was important, not just to the planet but to the entire galaxy. And he realized, with a chill in his heart, that the calm nights were over. The galaxy had begun to stir, and fire was coming. And so, under the light of the shattered stars, the child sat up, trembling yet powerful. The aliens watched silently above. Draven whispered again, "We must protect you, no matter what comes." The child screamed once more, and the hum of energy became a roar. The ground shook, the wind howled, and the horizon burned. The galaxy was waking. The morning sun barely touched the horizon, casting long shadows over the scorched clearing. Smoke from the previous night's crash still curled into the sky. Villagers stayed at a distance, fearful of the child who had fallen from the stars. They whispered among themselves, unsure whether to help or flee. Draven, the old scientist, knelt beside the child. Its small body seemed fragile, yet there was an energy within it that radiated like a silent storm. The child's chest rose and fell slowly, the glow fading to a soft, pulsating light. Draven's hands hovered near it, careful not to touch too soon. He felt the vibrations beneath the child, the strange hum that had shaken the clearing. "This child is unlike anything we have ever seen," Draven whispered to himself. "Not human, yet somehow alive." The villagers watched him from the edge of the forest. Some feared the child would bring disaster. Others, brave, or foolish, wanted to help. Draven finally decided it was unsafe to leave the child unattended. He gently lifted it, cradling it in his arms. It struggled weakly but did not resist fully. Its eyes, now half closed, glowed faintly in patterns like a pulsing starfield. The scientist led the child to his small lab, a hut filled with strange devices and instruments from decades of research. He laid the child on a bed of soft blankets and examined it carefully. He noticed faint markings on the child's arms and neck, symbols that seemed to shimmer and shift in the light. They were not tattoos nor scars. They were part of the child itself, patterns made of energy. Draven's mind raced. These markings, they are ancient. I've read about them in old galactic texts, but they were thought to be extinct. Only legends speak of a race with such power. The child stirred and opened its eyes again. This time it was different. Its gaze scanned the room as if it could see not only Draven, but everything beyond the walls, beyond the planet, even into space itself. A small tremor shook the lab. Instruments flickered. A glass jar slid across a table, spinning and crashing to the floor. Draven stepped back, heart pounding. It senses more than I can imagine. I must be careful. Meanwhile, high above the planet, the alien ships waited silently in orbit. Their sleek hulls reflected starlight as commanders observed through advanced sensors. "The child is awake," one said, its voice calm but filled with purpose. "Yes. Its energy signature is growing stronger," replied another. "If we act too early, we risk exposure. But if we wait too long..." They had waited centuries for this moment. This child was the key to power in the galaxy, and they could not afford mistakes. Back on the planet, Draven worked through the day trying to understand the child. Food, warmth, and care seemed to calm it slightly. Yet whenever the child's eyes glowed fully, small objects trembled around the lab. A candle flickered without wind, a glass of water rippled, and sometimes the floor shook. The scientist realized the child's presence was linked to energy far beyond the planet. A knock at the lab door startled them. Draven quickly moved to block the entrance. Two villagers stood there, faces pale, eyes wide with fear. "Sir, something is coming," one whispered. "Strange ships, in the sky, they are circling above." Draven's heart sank. He had sensed alien observation before, but now it was close, tangible. The hum in the child's body grew louder. The child raised a small hand, and without touching anything, a shard of rock from outside the window lifted and hovered in the air. The villagers gasped, stepping back. "They're not human," Draven said quietly. "And the child, it is not human either. But it is not here to harm, not yet." Suddenly the lab shook violently. A pulse of energy shot from the child, knocking over equipment. Sparks flew, and the glow in the child's eyes expanded, filling the room with light. The villagers screamed, some running into the forest, others frozen with fear. Draven held the child tightly, shielding it from the chaos. "Come. I will protect you," he whispered. "We must hide you until I understand what you are capable of." Outside, the alien ships began to move. They split into smaller craft, descending toward the planet's surface, their intentions clear. They were not here to negotiate. They were here to capture. The child stirred again, sensing the presence of the intruders. Its body emitted a soft, low hum that grew louder with each passing second. The ground trembled, the walls of the lab shivering as though afraid of the child's energy. Draven looked into the child's eyes. For a moment there was recognition. Something unspoken passed between them, a warning and a plea. The child knew, in some way that Draven could not yet understand, that danger had arrived, and the galaxy was closer to war than anyone could imagine. Outside, the first alien scouts touched down in the forest. The leaves bent and twisted under the pull of their energy fields. The air was thick with tension, the calm of the morning shattered. Draven realized the truth. The child's arrival had been noticed. The energy pulses, the strange markings, the glowing eyes, they were all signals. Not just to the humans but to the far reaches of space. The aliens would not leave without taking the child. And if they did, the galaxy could burn. The child looked up at Draven, its eyes wide and bright. Then, softly, almost like a whisper, it spoke in its own language, a language no human had ever heard. Draven understood the meaning though not the words. They are coming. We must run. And with that, the first shadow of the approaching threat fell across the planet, darkening the sky, and filling the forest with a quiet, deadly tension. Night had fallen again, but it was no longer quiet. The forest trembled under the approaching threat. From high above, alien ships sliced through the darkness, their lights sharp and cold. The air was thick with tension, and the villagers who remained whispered in fear. Draven stood in the doorway of his lab, cradling the child. Its small body shivered, but its eyes glowed brightly, scanning the shadows. The hum of its energy pulsed steadily, matching the rhythm of the forest. Draven could feel the danger in his bones. "They're coming for us," he said, his voice low. "We must move. Now." The child did not speak this time, but a soft pulse from its chest seemed to urge him forward. Draven grabbed a few supplies, water, blankets, some basic instruments, and led the way. A group of brave villagers followed, hesitant but determined to survive. Outside, the first alien scouts landed. They moved silently at first, then split into smaller units. Their dark armor reflected the faint light of the child's glow. They scanned the forest with energy sensors, searching for the source of the powerful signal. The forest seemed alive with tension. Every snapping branch, every rustle of leaves, made the villagers jump. But Draven kept moving, whispering instructions to stay calm. The child's eyes flickered from shadow to shadow, sensing the alien presence. Suddenly, a pulse of energy shot from the child. Small trees bent and cracked under the force, and a scout was thrown backward, its sensors sparking. The aliens hissed in frustration, realizing the child was not defenseless. "Keep moving," Draven shouted. "We cannot fight them here." They ran through the thick forest, dodging alien scanners and fallen branches. The child, weak but alert, began to glow brighter. With every step, small tremors shook the ground. Birds flew screaming into the night sky, and the air seemed to hum with the child's power. One of the scouts raised a weapon, aiming at the child. Before it could fire, the child's eyes flashed, and a sudden wave of energy pushed the scout backward, throwing it into a tree. Sparks flew, and the forest echoed with the sound of bending metal and breaking branches. Draven stumbled but held onto the child tightly. "Easy, easy," he whispered, trying to calm it. The child's hands were trembling, and its glow pulsed faster, reacting to the fear around it. The group reached a clearing near a small river. Draven looked around. They had to keep moving, but the water gave them a momentary cover. He placed the child gently on the ground, and its energy seemed to calm slightly. "Listen to me," Draven said. "We cannot stay. They will find us and we are not ready to fight them fully. But we can escape. Follow me and trust the child." The aliens were relentless. From the trees, more scouts emerged, scanning the area. Draven grabbed a long staff from the lab, holding it like a weapon, though he knew it would barely help. The child stood, its small figure glowing now with an intense blue light, and the air around it shimmered. A scout charged forward, moving faster than any human could run. The child raised a hand instinctively, and the scout froze mid-step as if caught in a strong invisible wind. Another scout fired a beam, but the child's glow expanded, forming a shield that absorbed the energy. The forest trembled with each pulse. "Go. Run," Draven yelled, carrying the child again. The villagers followed, some stumbling, some crying, but all moving as fast as they could. They reached a hidden path, one Draven had found years ago during his research trips. The trees bent overhead, forming a natural tunnel. Here the alien scanners were less effective, and the child's energy could guide them safely. But the child's powers were growing unpredictable. A sudden burst of energy threw Draven to the ground. He shielded the child, covering it with his arms. The villagers froze in fear. Trees split and rocks levitated briefly before falling back to the earth. The child's eyes glowed brighter than ever, and the hum became a roar. Draven whispered softly, trying to calm it. "It's okay. I am here. You are safe." Finally the burst ended. The child slumped in his arms, exhausted but alive. The forest was silent for a moment, broken only by the sound of the river flowing nearby. But Draven knew it would not last. He could feel the alien presence closing in. They were patient hunters and now they had a trail. "We must leave the planet tonight," Draven said. If we stay, the child will be captured and the galaxy may burn. We must reach the ship, the only way to survive. The child's eyes opened slightly, glowing faintly as if understanding. Its energy pulsed softly, guiding them through the shadows. Behind them, the first alien ships rose again, scanning the forest. But the group was already moving, slipping into the night, running toward the only hope they had, escape. And as they disappeared into the darkness, a low rumble shook the forest. The alien commanders, far above in orbit, observed silently. "They are escaping," one whispered. "But the child is ours eventually. And when that time comes..." The scientist looked at the child, cradled in his arms. He felt a mix of fear and wonder. This small being, fragile yet immensely powerful, had already saved them. But he knew the real danger had only just begun. The forest swallowed their figures as they ran into the night, shadows moving under the stars. The child hummed softly, the glow fading just enough to hide them. But in the distance, the galaxy was stirring. War had begun and nothing would ever be the same. The deserted cave was cold and quiet, but for the first time in hours, the small group felt a moment of safety. The child sat on a pile of blankets, glowing faintly, eyes half closed. Draven kept a careful watch, still carrying some supplies, and the villagers lingered near the entrance, peeking through the shadows. Outside, the forest was silent, but Draven knew it was only a matter of time before the aliens found them. He sat beside the child, studying it closely. The faint markings on its skin pulsed softly, as if alive. Draven traced a finger along one of the symbols, feeling a small vibration under his touch. He had never seen anything like it. "These markings, they are not random," Draven whispered. "They are a map or a key, something meant to be found." The child stirred slightly, sensing Draven's curiosity. Its small hand floated above the air, and faint lines of light appeared, connecting the markings and patterns that shimmered like constellations. The scientist gasped. He had read ancient galactic texts describing beings with powers tied to the energy of the stars, but they had been thought extinct, legends, myths told to children. This child," Draven murmured, "is the last of a race that could shape entire worlds." The child's eyes opened, glowing with a soft blue light. It looked directly at Draven, and for a moment, he felt as if it could see into his very mind. Images flashed in his head: distant planets, vast cities of alien civilizations, wars that spanned entire star systems, and a young child falling from the sky in a streak of light. The visions were vivid, almost real, yet fleeting. Draven shook his head, trying to steady himself. You survived when your people did not. But why here? Why now?" The child made a soft sound, almost like a whisper, in its own strange language. Draven could not understand the words, but he felt the meaning. Danger was coming. Not just for them but for the galaxy itself. Outside, the wind shifted. Draven's sharp eyes noticed movement, shadows in the cave's mouth. The aliens had found them. Scouting drones hovered just beyond the entrance, their sensors scanning, searching for the child's energy. Draven stood quickly, shielding the child behind him. "They are close," he whispered. "We must move. We cannot fight them yet. Not here." The child's energy pulsed again, softly at first, then stronger. Small rocks trembled and floated near the entrance, creating a faint barrier. The aliens hissed in their own language, recognizing the power of their prey. Draven realized that the child's abilities were more than just energy bursts. They could manipulate space, sense danger, even repel attackers. But it was unstable. If it lost control, the cave could collapse, or worse, the child could hurt the humans it was trying to protect. He kneeled beside it. "I need to understand you, to help you control your power. Then we can escape." The child's eyes flickered as it remembered fragments of its past. Images of a destroyed homeworld, of towering cities reduced to ash, and of beings with powers similar to its own. It remembered a prophecy whispered among its kind: "The last will awaken when the galaxy trembles. Light will fall from the stars, and only the brave will survive." Draven gasped. You are the last. That explains why the aliens are hunting you. They fear what you can do." A loud hum echoed from deep inside the cave as the child's energy reacted to the thought of danger. Draven covered it instinctively, feeling a pulse that made the walls vibrate. Outside, the aliens hesitated, sensing the surge of power, knowing that this was no ordinary child. The scientist realized something else. The child's presence was linked to the balance of energy in the galaxy itself. If the aliens captured it, the delicate equilibrium could collapse. Stars might burn, planets could fall into chaos, and war could ignite across the systems. One of the villagers, trembling, asked softly, "Can it really save us?" Draven did not answer immediately. He looked at the child, glowing faintly in the dim light of the cave. "It is the only hope we have," he said finally. "But hope comes with danger. Every step we take will be a battle and we must protect it, no matter what comes." The child's eyes glowed brighter as if understanding. It raised a small hand, and the markings on its body shone like a constellation map. The energy pulsed, almost like a heartbeat, resonating with Draven's own fear and determination. Suddenly the cave shook violently. Alien scouts were breaking through the forest, moving faster than Draven had anticipated. The child's energy surged in response, creating a protective shield. Rocks floated, forming a barrier between them and the intruders. The villagers screamed and ducked for cover, but Draven held the child firmly. "They are coming," he said, his voice steady but urgent. "We must leave, now." The child's hum grew louder, a deep vibration that echoed through the cave and into the surrounding forest. Draven felt the power, terrifying and beautiful, and he knew they had only one chance to escape. As the first alien scouts approached the cave entrance, the child's glow exploded, filling the space with blinding light. The aliens recoiled, momentarily halted by the surge. Draven grabbed the child and ran, following a hidden path he had discovered years ago, leading to a secret exit. Behind them, the alien commanders in orbit observed silently. "The child is awake," one whispered. "Soon it will know its power. And when that happens, the galaxy will burn." Draven did not hear the warning. He ran with the child, knowing that secrets had been revealed tonight. Secrets that could save the galaxy or destroy it. The small spacecraft floated silently above the planet's surface. Draven steered carefully, his hands tense on the controls. The child sat beside him, wrapped in a blanket, its small body glowing faintly. The villagers who had survived the forest chase huddled in the back, wide-eyed and silent. Outside, the planet receded into the darkness of space, leaving the threat of the aliens behind, for now. "Keep your eyes open," Draven whispered to the group. "They are fast and they will follow." The child's energy pulsed in response to his words. It had been quiet during the flight, but Draven could feel it learning, sensing the universe in ways humans could not. Stars, asteroids, and distant planets seemed to register in its mind. Every pulse of light from the child made the ship hum. "Can it control it?" one villager asked nervously. Draven shook his head. "Not fully. But it is learning. We need to keep it safe until it does." Far above, in the dark reaches of orbit, the alien fleet stirred. Sleek, black ships cut through space with precise speed. Their commanders analyzed the child's energy signature, calculating its location. "The humans are fleeing," one said. "But the child's energy is unpredictable. It could strike without warning." "Yes," another replied. "We cannot afford to underestimate it. Prepare pursuit ships. Do not let it escape this system." Back in the ship, the child shifted. Its glow intensified, filling the cabin with light. Draven noticed that the stars outside seemed to bend slightly around them. The ship's instruments flickered as if reacting to an invisible force. "You feel that?" Draven asked quietly. The child nodded slightly. Its small hand lifted, and a faint wave of energy passed through the cabin. Lights stabilized, instruments hummed with a new rhythm, and the turbulence eased. "It's learning," Draven said. "It can influence the ship. But we must be careful. If it overuses its power," he did not finish. The thought of an uncontrolled burst was terrifying. Suddenly the ship's sensors blared. Small blips appeared on the radar. Alien scouts were closing in, faster than expected. Draven's hands tightened on the controls. "They're here," he said. "Brace yourselves." The first wave of alien fighters appeared, sleek and deadly. They fired beams of energy that streaked past the ship, narrowly missing the hull. The child reacted instinctively, raising its hands. A soft, blue glow expanded outward, forming a shield around the ship. The beams collided with it and were absorbed harmlessly. The villagers gasped in awe and fear. Draven's heart pounded. "It's protecting us, but it's exhausting it too. Keep it calm." The child's eyes flickered as it sensed the alien's movements. It raised its small hands again, and for a brief moment the space around the ship seemed to slow. The alien fighters wobbled, struggling to maintain speed. The child had done something incredible, altered gravity or time or something beyond Draven's understanding. "Unbelievable," Draven whispered. "It's starting to control its power." But the aliens were relentless. They adapted quickly, firing new energy patterns, trying to break through. The child's energy pulsed with every blast, stronger and brighter each time. Draven realized they were witnessing the child's first real battle. One villager whispered, "Can it destroy them?" Draven shook his head. "It could, but we cannot risk it. Not yet. If it loses control," he did not finish. The memory of the forest tremors and the cave bursts reminded him how dangerous the child's uncontrolled energy could be. The aliens were gaining. Their fleet began to surround the ship, cutting off escape routes. Draven calculated quickly, veering toward an asteroid field. The ship dodged massive rocks and spinning debris, narrowly avoiding collisions. The child's energy seemed to guide them, pulsing in rhythm with the movement of the ship. "They are fast, but the child is faster," Draven said. "It's learning, and it wants to survive." A larger alien vessel appeared, its hull bristling with weapons. It moved with terrifying speed, ready to capture the child at any cost. The smaller fighters coordinated with it, forming a deadly net around Draven's ship. The child's glow expanded again. This time, the energy reached out into space, disrupting the alien fleet's sensors and creating a brief moment of chaos. Draven seized the opportunity, navigating the ship through a narrow gap in the asteroid field. The alien ships collided with debris, giving them a temporary advantage. Draven glanced at the child. "You're incredible," he whispered. "But this is only the beginning. They won't stop until they have you." The child hummed softly, a comforting vibration. Its glow faded just enough to appear calm, yet Draven could feel the latent power ready to awaken again. It was learning control, understanding the responsibility of its strength. As the ship plunged deeper into the asteroid field, Draven realized the truth. The aliens would never give up. The child's powers could shape the galaxy, and every pursuit, every attack would test them further. The stars stretched past them, distant suns twinkling like tiny beacons. The galaxy was dangerous, alive with war and ambition. But with the child they had a chance. A small chance. Draven clenched his fists. "We survive, we learn, and we fight. No matter what comes, we protect the child. That is our mission." And somewhere, far above in the darkness of space, the alien commanders watched, calculating, waiting. The hunt was far from over. The galaxy was awakening and a fire was coming. A fire that only the brave, the clever, and the human could survive. The deserted planet loomed ahead, dark and lifeless, its surface scarred by centuries of forgotten battles. Draven's small ship descended cautiously, carrying the child and the remaining villagers. The alien fleet had followed them through space, relentless in its pursuit. Every sensor beeped warnings, every shadow outside the ship hinted at danger. Draven glanced at the child, who sat quietly, eyes glowing brighter than ever. Its energy pulsed like a heartbeat, resonating with the ship and even with the planet beneath them. Draven could feel it. The power had grown far beyond what they had witnessed in the forest, the cave, or the asteroid field. The child could not only defend them now, it could change the fate of the galaxy. "They are close," Draven whispered. "Prepare yourselves. This is the last stand." Outside, the alien ships hovered in formation. Massive vessels bristled with weapons, while smaller fighters flanked them like hunting wolves. The alien commanders observed from orbit, calculating their strike. They had underestimated the child's abilities so far, but they had learned, carefully, coldly, and ruthlessly. The first wave of fighters descended. Energy beams streaked across the sky, igniting the barren landscape. Draven's ship shook under the force of the blasts. Villagers screamed, and debris rained from the heavens. But the child reacted instantly. Its small hands rose, glowing with a brilliant blue light. Waves of energy pulsed outward, deflecting beams, flipping enemy ships, and creating a shield around Draven's craft. Draven's heart pounded. "It's controlling everything, it's amazing." But the aliens were relentless. A massive command ship moved forward, releasing a pulse field that threatened to disable the child's energy. The child's glow flickered, its small body trembling. Draven held onto it tightly. "Stay calm, you can do this," he urged. The child inhaled deeply, almost like gathering strength. Its eyes flared, lighting the dark sky. A shockwave erupted from it, powerful enough to lift debris and send smaller alien ships crashing into the barren ground. The shield expanded, surrounding Draven's ship and the remaining villagers in a protective dome of pure energy. Outside, the aliens hesitated, sensing the child's full power. The command ship unleashed its final strike, a massive beam aimed to capture or destroy. The child responded instinctively. Its energy shot outward, colliding with the beam. Light exploded in a brilliant flash, brighter than any star in the sky. Energy rippled across the planet, shaking the ground, splitting rocks and igniting fires. Draven shielded his eyes, feeling the heat and force. The villagers huddled close, trembling but alive. When the light dimmed, the alien fleet was scattered. Ships were destroyed or disabled, their formations broken. The child sat in the center, exhausted but victorious, glowing softly as its energy settled. Draven approached carefully. "You did it, you saved us." The child's small hand floated in the air, and the markings on its body shimmered faintly. Its eyes met Draven's and he felt a connection, an understanding that this child, though small, carried the weight of the galaxy's future. Above, distant stars flared as if reflecting the child's power. Draven realized the truth. This small human-like being, fragile yet powerful, had become a force the galaxy could not ignore. The surviving aliens retreated into space, beaten but not broken. Their commanders whispered, plotting, knowing that one day the child's full strength might challenge entire fleets, entire empires. But for now the planet was quiet again, the galaxy calm, and the humans, just for a moment, safe. Draven looked around at the villagers, their faces pale but filled with awe. He smiled faintly. "We survived, thanks to the child." The child rose, glowing softly in the twilight. It looked at the stars above and hummed, a low, steady vibration that resonated through the planet. Draven understood. This was only the beginning. The child would grow, learn, and protect not only humans but the galaxy itself. In that quiet moment, the planet seemed to breathe with new life. Trees, rocks, and air shimmered faintly, infused by the child's lingering energy. The humans were small and vulnerable, yet they had a role to play in this story. With courage, unity, and trust in each other, and in this child, they could face threats no one else dared. Draven held the child gently. "We will guide you, protect you, and stand with you," he said. "Together we can save the galaxy." The child's eyes glimmered and a soft, calm glow radiated outward. The galaxy was safe for now, but the echoes of war lingered. Draven knew that challenges lay ahead, that the child's powers would grow, and that enemies would return. But for this night, under the quiet stars, humanity had won. The galaxy on fire had been held at bay. And the smallest among them, the fallen child, had become the greatest hope for all.